For decades, the conversation around autism spectrum disorder has really been a story about deficits. But what if we've been telling that story all wrong? What if the key to unlocking potential isn't about fixing what's different, but about understanding and harnessing some incredible, unique strengths? Okay, let's dive into this and really reframe the narrative together. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with that old deficit-only narrative that's dominated for so long. Then we'll get clear on what the spectrum truly is. After that, we'll explore the powerful strengths of autism, see how intense interest can create massive impact. And finally, we'll look ahead and envision a more inclusive, neurodiverse future. So let's start with what I'm calling the before story. Because to really understand where we're going, we first have to get a handle on where the conversation has been stuck. And it's been stuck focusing almost entirely on perceived shortcomings. And look, this isn't just some vague idea. It's a historical fact. Researchers Zhang and Drani point out that from the very beginning, the language used to describe autism has been just steeped in words like disorder, impairment, and dysfunction. It's all been about what autistic people supposedly can't do. And the data, wow, the data really backs this up in a big way. A study looked at over 1,000 research articles and found that more than half were dominated by a deficit perspective. And the number focused primarily on strengths? A tiny fraction, just 11%. Now, you can imagine this huge imbalance has had some pretty serious real-world consequences for how autistic people are seen and supported. So to move forward, we need to build a bridge from that old narrative to a new, more accurate understanding. And that bridge, well, it starts with clarifying what the autism spectrum actually is. At its core, autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition. It's not a disease, not at all. It's just a different way of wiring that influences how a person experiences and interacts with the world, everything from communication to sensory input. And this is so important. The spectrum is not a linear scale from less autistic to more autistic. That's a huge misconception. It's actually much more like a color wheel, representing a completely unique combination of strengths and challenges for every single individual. And that right there is why a one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. Now, once we grasp that, it naturally leads us to the most exciting part of this story, the shift in focus. So let's explore the incredible strengths that come with this different way of processing the world. Artistic cognition can lead to some truly remarkable abilities. We're talking about associative thinking that connects ideas in these new, incredible ways, which is basically a superpower for creativity. There's exceptional pattern recognition, which is invaluable whether you're a data analyst spotting a hidden trend or a musician hearing a complex harmony. And the ability to develop that deep, passionate expertise through intense focus, that's a huge asset. All of this fuels innovation, authenticity, and completely unique ways of solving problems, from angles nobody else even saw. And this isn't just theory, this is a lived experience. As one Reddit user, Atomic Venus 81, who's an autistic psychology student, put it so powerfully, these ways of thinking aren't a bug, they're a feature. They are, in her words, a great gift to the world. So, okay, we have these incredible cognitive strengths, but how do we translate them into real-world impact? Well, the key often lies in what are commonly called special interests, those deep, passionate areas of focus. The big shift, the real game changer, happens when we stop seeing these intense interests as some kind of barrier and start reframing them as powerful therapeutic assets. Instead of trying to redirect this focus, we can harness it. We can use it as an engine for learning, for engagement, for skill development. And there's actually a clear 5-stage framework for this. It all starts with identifying that special interest. Simple enough. Then you align therapeutic or educational goals directly with that interest. From there, you integrate this whole approach across different areas of life, which, as you can imagine, naturally leads to way more engagement and motivation. And the final result? Improved skills and overall well-being. It just makes sense. And this perfectly illustrates how it works in practice. That same Reddit user, she channeled her special interest, autistic cognition, into a class project. Her professor, who happened to be the co-chair of the psychology department, was so impressed he asked to use her work in future classes. He said she highlighted that different doesn't mean broken. I mean, that's the framework in action right there, turning a deep interest into a powerful, impactful tool. All of this leads us to the after story. A vision for a neurodiverse future where this strengths-based understanding becomes the norm, allowing autistic individuals to not just cope, but to truly thrive.
This diagram just captures the entire journey so beautifully. It's this powerful feedback loop. We start by identifying strengths and interests. We use them as the foundation for support, which then fuels engagement, and that engagement is what ultimately leads to the positive outcomes we're all aiming for. This really is the path forward.
So, what's it going to take to build this future? Well, it requires creating a supportive ecology. This means providing early, tailored support that's built around individual strengths. It means we have to move beyond simple awareness to genuine acceptance. It means actively building inclusive environments in our schools and workplaces, and, maybe most importantly, celebrating neurodiversity as a fundamental human strength. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. This shift from a deficit model to a strengths-based one isn't just for therapists or educators. It's a change in perspective for all of us. So the question is, how can we, in our own lives, our workplaces, and our communities, shift our focus from trying to fix what's different to building a world that truly supports autistic flourishing?